What's good, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Four Quarter Talk podcast. I'm your host, Josh Masoki, joined by my co-host,
Jack Brazil. How's everyone today?
Yeah,
How are you? Good?
I'm good, yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful weather outside.
Beautiful weather.
beautiful
Finally.
weather outside. I'd rather be out there. Well, actually, I'd rather be in my meeting right now. But let's go, man. Let's go. Let's get started with Kyrie Irving. Breaking news
Kyrie.
yesterday. He finally won. He beat the
his
mayor.
case.
He beat the case. Kyrie has
Fresh
been
home.
cleared for all home games, so he will play the remainder of the last 10 games of the season. Obviously, that has big implications on the Eastern Conference race because a Kyrie and a KD, no one wants to see that in the first round. What are your thoughts?
Well, the Nets, with this Kyrie, especially this Kyrie, because over his last 4 games, averaging 44 points per game on 62% field goal percentage. So the guy is in biblical form at the moment, and this could spell one of the most dangerous 8 seeds in NBA history. Granted, they get past the play-in, but obviously I think we'd all back them to get in the play-in. Yeah, man, no one wants to see those Nets. And if your Celtics continue their upward trajectory into that first seed with the Heat crumbling.
Well, the thing is, if they beat Toronto, as I said before, they will be 7th seed, so they will play 2nd seed,
Okay.
not 1st seed.
But you could easily be in that 2nd seed as well.
I know.
Yes. And I'm sure you'd much rather play someone like the Raptors than the...
Oh yeah,
than the Nets.
100%.
And you and Kyrie have some bad blood. So,
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, Kyrie's been in outstanding form, and I think I speak for every basketball fan when I say we're all ecstatic to see him back playing every game. Obviously, apart from in Canada, but yeah, it was weird though that it took this long. Obviously, they had that rule where he could only sit courtside.
That was a weird one.
That was one of the.
Now you see what it was. So obviously these rules are affecting like regular citizens.
Yeah.
So the initial rule was just everyone has to be vaccinated for events and working. The reason why he was able to sit courtside but not on the bench is because technically he's an employee of the Nets, and they removed the rule for being in attendance at events, like as a spectator, but they didn't remove the employee rule for like all businesses and everything.
Yeah.
So say if their kit man or something had not been vaccinated, he couldn't
be there.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure media members had to be like vaccinated to be there, even in the crowd. So
yeah, but this also allows the Nets to take a bit more time with Ben Simmons as well, because there's been a lot of reports saying Ben Simmons probably won't be back before the start of the playoffs.
Yeah, but just going back real quick, what's interesting about the announcement yesterday is that this rule is actually not for all employees. This rule is specifically for
players,
like sports, for athletes and like entertainers.
So basically, Kyrie Irving.
I think, and apparently
the mayor did say he'd love to see NBA title in New York more than anything.
Yeah, apparently the New York Mets owner donated money towards like the mayor's like campaign or something. So,
hey man, he's done us all a favour though. He's done us all a favour. But yeah,
you got some Gotham City like laws going underneath under the table, but yeah, as you said, with Ben Simmons, that's a shaky situation going on over there. Herniated disc is not something you want to hear from someone under 30. So so this is much needed.
Yeah, it means that there won't be so much pressure on KD. And obviously KD's getting up there in age, and there's no doubt he can still do it. But
he's facing triple teams these last few games. I've been watching, and obviously Kyrie will take some of that attention away and that pressure away as well. And you can stagger their minutes as well, play them with the bench and whatever. So this allows the Nets to be so much more flexible, and it's going to make them way more dangerous.
But they still need help from other players.
Oh yeah,
they still got Curry coming back.
Oh yeah, Curry's
Drummond's been pretty solid.
Bruce Brown's been good as well.
Bruce Brown,
like someone like Patty Mills needs to step up, because he's been shooting very poorly.
Starting the season, he was one of the best shooters in the league.
He was 6th man of the year straight away.
Yeah, he's fallen off.
Yeah,
but again, I think Kyrie coming back will only help him as well. because he'll get more open shots, I think.
And now
Yeah.
the biggest deal about having the difference between having Kyrie part-time and having him full-time is defined roles and knowing what to expect from each player every time and not having to adjust the game plan. So that's the biggest thing they can benefit from. And with Patty Mills, some games he was coming in thinking he had to be the second scorer, and then some games he was coming in off the bench, and then at least now there's defined roles, you know what to expect, and you can start to build that chemistry for the last 10 games.
Goran Dragic's been a good pickup for them as well.
Yeah, he's steady.
He's been steady for them, given he's replaced some of that production that they missed through Patty Mills. So
maybe she's injured, so he didn't play. And
obviously the big question mark with the Nets, if they can't get Ben Simmons back, is still going to remain their defense. So I think that caps their ceiling a bit against someone like a Celtics, who are elite on defense and on offense. So Kyrie doesn't help too much in that perspective, but
but I think Kyrie gives back other way.
Oh yeah.
On the other side.
Yeah, you can afford to have Kyrie Irving in your lineup as a below average defender if he's going to give you 45 a night.
Yeah. And he does step up against certain matchups. He steps up in the finals
when
against Curry. He'd always step up. In that game against the 76ers, he was climbing up Harden. So he steps up when he needs to.
Yep.
And you have a rested Kyrie, a Kyrie that normally misses several games throughout the season and is banged up by the time it comes to playoff time. He's now been rested the whole season. So yeah,
he'll be fresh.
He will be fresh. And there's no better sight really than playoff Kyrie as well. He always steps up in the playoffs. So
apart from that one Celtics, that Celtics Bucks series, but apart from that,
I think he already had a foot out the door at that point probably.
Yes,
he had his whole
season before that. He got injured, and so he didn't play.
He had his bags packed.
He
had his flight booked.
Probably never bought a house in Brooklyn, in Boston.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I don't blame him. It would be one of the all-time revenge series though if he does come back and knocks you guys out. That would be.
He did it last year.
Oh yeah.
He did it last year.
Wait. Oh no, there were crowds back, wasn't there? Yeah.
It was limited though, wasn't
it? I think.
Or was it full?
It was full for game 5 or 4.
Okay.
For one of the games, Celtics Arena were full.
But anyway, moving on. So we're gonna get back to our regular new segment, performances of the week, best, worst, underrated, surprising, whatever. So do you want to start, Jack?
Yeah, man. I've gone for the point guard out in Cleveland, Darius Garland. He's had a fantastic time since the All-Star break. 26.5 and 11.5 assists since the All-Star break. 11 game. That's an 11-game sample size. And obviously the Cavs have missed key pieces, most notably Jarrett Allen. But he's still keeping them afloat in that bid for the 4th, 5th seed in the East, and especially over his last 3. I mean, 43.
Pause.
Go on.
Which seed?
4th or 5th.
No. They are not reaching 4th or 5th.
Okay, but there's 6th. So.
So,
no, I don't think they're that many games behind us.
Okay.
I think we might have the same amount of wins as them. But anyway, it doesn't really make much difference where they finish.
The Cavs have had a shaky season, not in terms of not because of themselves, but with injuries. They lost Ricky Rubio, who was great for them at the start of the season.
He was playing well as well.
Then they replaced him Rondo.
There was all-star shots.
Yeah, exactly.
There was all-star shots for Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, they've tried with Rondo and several different players, and they've lost. Obviously, they lost Jarrett Allen recently. Yeah. That was a big blow to them. But the fact that Darius Garland being able to keep them afloat, they've risen above so much adversity as a young team as well.
Yeah, 43 assists, 7 turnovers in his last 3 games, and 29 and 17 last time out against the Lakers. He's really progressing as one of the elite passers in the NBA, and we were having a discussion off camera, but we think Darius Garland is an outside shout for All NBA this year, and I think it would be more than well deserved. And there's that classic trope in the NBA that it takes a point guard a little bit longer to adapt and to come into their prime, but it's Darius Garland, as soon as his role was defined as kind of the leader as that team, as soon as Collin Sexton was kind of made that number 2 option, and
Sexton is very expendable now.
Very expendable, and the Cavs could really build a competent roster using Collin Sexton as a trade piece, and a lot of credit has to go to Rajon Rondo as well. We've heard all the stories about how he's kind of taken him under his wing and mentored him.
Shout out Chris Paul.
Yeah. But yeah, Darius Garland is my player of the week. He has been unbelievable recently. What's us?
Yeah, I'll go with a completely random one. Like last week on the episode, we talked about how many 50-point games has been this month, and literally the same night, Sadiq Bey, out of all people, had 51. Like,
So everyone was watching March of Madness.
exactly.
Absolutely no one was watching. What was it? Pistons versus
Pistons
Magic.
against Magic, but when you think,
He put on a show.
still
Put on a
51
show
is
for 5 people.
like 51 is a big, like 51 is a lot. Like he had 17 from 27, like shooting 10 3-pointers. Like he had a great game, and yeah, unfortunately no one watched it,
Yeah.
as you say, but like 50 pieces,
I
a big
mean,
one.
you can't have a 50-point game in the NBA and it not be impressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
The Magic did just get 60 pieced by Kyrie Irving in the last game before that. So seems to be a theme.
Yeah,
I watched the highlights though, and they were like, it was just great shooting.
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
exactly.
just
No,
great.
Sadiq player is a great young player.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's part of a really exciting core there in Detroit. I think they're
yeah,
underrated.
like they have few.
Yeah, they
players.
have a few nice pieces.
Yeah.
Definitely pieces you can build around.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So-
Yeah, for sure.
Like Kay
I
Cunningham.
think like in the future there'll be few teams like that'll be very fun to watch, like Magic, like Pistons, like Thunder. So because they have like young talent,
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, man. Speaking of exciting teams to watch, I've gone with a team. I'm going with the Celtics. In the last week, they've beaten the Warriors, Jazz, Nuggets, and Nuggets by a combined 70 points.
Wow.
The last 5 games? The last 5 games, we've won by at least 20. Was the last 5?
No, because we play Thunder. Out of all teams, we didn't beat Thunder by 20 points.
Don't even talk to me about that, man. We cannot tank, man. We cannot tank. But
Just let other teams do it for you. You've got basically everyone else to take anyway. So.
and then what the Clippers are playing well for no reason as well.
Yeah, for real.
Oh man.
Shout out Ty Lue.
Yeah, but the Celtics have just been dominant.
On both sides of the ball, man.
Yeah, we've talked about them. What are their weaknesses? Like, I'm struggling to find one.
And you can also see how the way they're playing could translate to the playoffs as well.
Yeah, they're built for the playoffs.
Built for the playoffs. You got an elite closer, you got an elite sidekick to the closer, and you just got we were speaking off camera again. Like I was asking you who is a bad defender on the Celtics, and we were kind of scratching our heads thinking of answers. So and I think, do you think Ime Udoka coach of the year?
No, like he'll be candidate, but I don't think unless we make number first seed.
Okay.
But I'll still like.
I'd go with the Grizzlies coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like Monty Williams as
Or
well.
Monty
Like,
Williams.
Yeah,
it
I
will
feel
be
like
I think those three will be.
I feel like Monty Williams is owed one.
yeah.
he's owed one.
He
Yeah,
deserves-
exactly.
he
That's the
deserves
thing.
it.
Like after last season, especially, like he needs one.
Yeah, and it's not like Thibodeau didn't deserve it last year,
Yeah.
but it's like Monty Williams was more than deserving,
Yes.
and he's continued that on.
Yeah.
And
So as I said before, I just want Ime to be top 3, and I'll be happy.
Yeah,
Get an invite to the
Yeah.
awards. The awards
Yeah,
ceremony.
exactly.
That no one
But yeah,
goes.
I think what Ime, Monty Williams, or who's coach of the Grizzlies?
Yeah,
I do.
casual.
He's
I was gonna say JB, but that's the Cavs.
What's his name? I know his name. It's quite a tough name to pronounce.
Yeah.
It's like Boca or something. Bio or something like that. Isn't he like one of Pop's proteges?
I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those 3 will be top 3 in coach of the year
Yeah.
awards. Because yeah, for Grizzlies hitting 50 is a big thing.
Grizzlies hitting 50, and we also
And
saw
the wins
that.
without.
Yeah,
Yeah.
15 and 2 without John Morant.
Yeah. But yeah, Celtics, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's Taylor
Oh.
Jenkins.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
oh.
I thought it was. I don't know who I'm thinking of.
You might be you're thinking of the Charlotte, the
No,
Hornets
no.
head coach.
No, I know who that is.
But
James Brewer.
yeah,
Nice. I don't know who I'm thinking of, but yeah, like and obviously after the start you guys had,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
poor
turned it all
start,
the way
and
around.
it was kind of it looked like a continuation from an underwhelming
Yeah.
season last year with very similar personnel. When do you think was the moment that it kind of clicked and it switched?
Well, Jalen Brown said like energy shifted because there was with some weird universe stuff
Yeah.
happening. So,
Someone was playing with their crystals. And
yeah. So, and I think
it was quite soon after we made that our return episode, the Tatum Brown episode.
yeah.
I think you had just kind of started to string a few wins together, and then once we made that episode, the classic four-quarter talk curse.
Oh no, it was not a curse because
Not a curse, but
we
I guess it's a blessing for you.
Yeah.
no. But what I mean is we
We were all saying that they shouldn't be split up.
we
Yeah.
clickbaited it, but we
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, we all said it was dumb to even consider
Yeah.
breaking them up.
But I think everyone got healthy. Marcus Smart was set to be a point guard, and he's playing well. So
Yeah.
I think the health is
He's really
the main
nurtured
reason.
that role, hasn't he?
Yeah.
As the point guard.
The thing is with him, every season his rookie year, he was the number 2. Yeah, he had Rondo, had Isaiah Thomas, had Kyrie. Now he's on his own, and he's he's the point guard of the team. So I think that's a big reason. And health.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can stay healthy.
All right, so we've talked about the best. Now we gotta go to the worst, and I've gone with the Miami Heat. This was before the scuffle on the bench last night. The Heat. I don't know, man. Them bubble boys back again.
Back again,
Bubble
man.
boys are back again. So they lost to the Warriors without
The G League Warriors.
without Steph, Clay, or Draymond. But the game before that, they lost to the 76ers without Embiid or Harden. What's happening with the Heat?
I think it's just if they have any sort of offensive struggles, because they don't have that go-to guy, when the threes aren't falling, because they shoot a high volume of threes, right? So once those start to not fall, you don't have a guy that can bail you out on the offensive end.
Yeah.
And when you come up against good defensive teams, they're going to struggle. And they've done really well to be in the 1 seed, but I see them falling out of that now. And I think, they have a lot of big personalities in that locker room. Jimmy Butler, you have Udonis Haslem, as we saw yesterday. Marcus, is it Marcus or Markieff? I always get it mixed up.
It's Markieff.
Oh yeah, Markieff.
Yeah,
Marcus is on the Clippers.
Markieff Morris. You have a lot of potential for those guys, big personalities, to clash, and we saw that last night. Let's see how the Heat bounce back from it. Are they just going to be, is Jimmy Butler going to be the bigger man and sweep it all under the carpet and get on with the season, or are cracks going to start to show, man?
I mean, he can sweep it underneath, but he can't sweep under that 9% from 3.
Yeah, man.
That's terrible.
Well, that was gonna be my most disappointing player, was Jimmy Butler, because of that 9% from 3. I mean, he's never been known as a 3-point shooter, but that is inexcusable.
That's
It's
horrendous.
different level.
I'm sorry, I have to. You know that meme of harassment versus floating?
Yeah.
I swear, Westbrook shooting 30% is harassment, and then fucking Jimmy Butler shooting 9% is floating, I swear. But yeah, I don't. Jimmy Butler, he confuses me sometimes, because it feels like he's never really made that full switch to superstardom.
He's always been on the cusp.
It feels like he just still views himself as that player that arrived at the Bulls, that worked his way up, but he's never fully arrived.
Do you think he has too much of an underdog mentality?
Yeah, because he has those moments where even in that finals run, there were still moments where he's like, I'm not the best player on the team. This is Bam's team's takeover, or this is Heroes not to take over. But he doesn't want to consistently be that player that takes over. And in some ways, it's nice to have a star that's unselfish, but you need to be able to depend on a superstar if you're a contending team.
Yeah, and you need a clear leader, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And you need someone that's going to take responsibility. And if you're always shouldering the responsibility, saying, this is my team, this is so-and-so's team, when everyone else thinks it's your team, like everyone in the NBA media thinks it's his team, probably everyone on the Heat thinks it's his team, you're sending off a lot of mixed signals there, and you're kind of not taking responsibility in a sense. So and he just has such an, as much as he can have a series like he did against the Lakers, although asterisks against in the bubble.
And what's happened to his mid-range shot, bro?
Yeah,
That is falling off.
He used to.
That's fallen off so hard.
That used to be how he made his money.
I swear, AD and Jimmy Butler left their
mid-range,
middies in the bubble, man. What's going on? It's not
but
good.
yeah, when you have a star who is so prone to going like cold, like if we looking back from the All-Star game, some of these field goal percentages, you'll have the 63% field goal percentage games, cool, when he gets close to 30 points. But then you have games where he shoots 2 for 14, he'll shoot 2 for 9, and like you can't have your star doing that, because especially on a team like the Heat, outside of Tyler Hero, no one else is picking up those points, really.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of pressure to put on two guys to score, man.
Yeah, we all remember Buck series when Bryn Forbes outscored him. So.
We all do remember that. we mentioned that a lot, but I think it's very pertinent to the Heat. It's just like it shows how bad it can get for the Heat, and you know.
Yeah, and we talk about like we talked about weaknesses, like their weaknesses, like scoring,
because you can't rely on your 6-man to carry you through.
Yeah, and I think they have a lot of pieces that are like kind of one man's trash is another man's treasure type pieces, like Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, and they've all bought into the Heat culture. But when does having that underdog mentality as a 1 seed I don't think that's a good thing.
Look, it was great for them in the bubble, because in the bubble, like, there was a lot of teams that just didn't want to be there. And it was a thing where everyone had to rise against like the adversity of being in a weird situation and having like a 3-4 month break from NBA balls. So then your culture was the biggest thing, because it was like that had to carry you through.
Yeah.
But now when it's just a full season, it's a regular season, everyone wants it just as bad as everyone else. It's not going to make that much of a difference for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is tough. It's a tough situation with them.
Who's your worst performer, Matas?
For me, I'll say a team. It's Dallas Mavericks.
Okay.
Yeah, after that win against
the
Nets, after that Dinwiddie winner, they went on and lost to Sixers by 10, and then to Hornets by 21 points. And as a fifth seed in the West, like losing 21 to Hornets. Yeah, Hornets is one of the like hottest teams. They've been playing very well recently, but you kind of like.
No Luka yesterday though as well.
Yeah, but against Hornets, Luka scored 37, but everyone else basically did nothing. So like as a team, like you need to be better, and they show like when you see the stats, like they shot 43% from field and 36 from 3, but they got out rebounded, like assists 18 to 33, like 18 assists on that team, like when you have Luka, Jalen Brunson, and no one can hit the shot. So yeah, they need to pick up, because they might fall lower than they are now, and you don't want to do that in the West.
It's funny how much a week can change stuff in the NBA, because just last week we were praising the Mavericks. But is it another case of a team being too reliant on one player?
Yeah, because you say with the assists, now I feel like the teams that have the most assists are the teams where it's kind of spread out, and that's where it works more. When you have two great playmakers, but obviously a great playmaker in Luka and then Jalen Brunson to help, if you have that usage in two players, it's kind of hard to have a free-flowing offense, because it's like my career where the assists is coming from one player.
Literally.
People aren't really moving. It's just like I'm dribbling and then I'm giving it to you. You have to shoot type thing. So it can be a bit.
I know we'll get onto this later, but that's exactly what I see every night from the Chicago Bulls. It's like DeMar and Levine versus the world kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's a big reason for our struggles as of late.
Yeah.
It also feels like Jalen Brunson kind of obviously takes a step back when Luka's in the lineup, but the player Jalen Brunson is when Luka's out of the lineup is so much different.
Very different.
And it's almost like they kind of can't be the best versions of themselves together, which is a problem.
Yeah.
As a free agent this summer as well.
Yeah, I don't see Jalen Brunson being a Dallas Maverick next year.
No.
Because I just think from a fit perspective, money wise, I just don't think it aligns or works out. But that will leave Dallas with a big hole to fill. So we'll see how they
have Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah, but I don't think
And they can strengthen.
I think
other
Dinwiddie's
sides.
very good in the role he's currently in.
Yeah.
I think
You
giving
can
him
just use it for a better fit type player instead.
giving him more, like giving him a Jalen Brunson type role, I don't think would benefit the Mavericks.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the other side of that because you're talking about their Hornets loss. So I'm going to go with my underrated team is the Charlotte Hornets, who are on a 5-game winning streak. That ties the Phoenix Suns for the largest active streak. They're top 5 in points, assists, and threes.
Yeah.
What happened?
They
Did
definitely
the Suns lose or something?
No, the Hornets definitely didn't lose yesterday.
The Hornets just lost
Yeah.
before last night. But yeah, Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier, they've been balling. Well, I can't use most of these stats if they've lost last night. Might be a bit screwy.
No, that's fine.
It's just
Just give last night.
I feel like the Hornets are such a hot or cold team.
Yeah.
Like they'll go on a 5-game win streak and then follow that up with a 7-game losing streak.
And they're the only, like, Hornets games are the only games where both coaches' plan is to like make sure that LaMelo doesn't get in rhythm.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the Warriors, because Borrego, like, I don't know what's wrong with this guy, man. Like, ever since LaMelo got there, ever since he was
I was
drafted,
gonna say,
remember?
it kind of seems like
Yeah.
he's always had something against.
Remember when he said, "Oh, LaMelo, he doesn't play hard enough to start."
Yeah.
Like,
Who was starting ahead of him? I can't even remember who it was.
was it Devontae?
Yes.
Devontae Graham.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Devontae Graham at that point was shooting like 35%.
He was having
he was
himself a season, but yeah.
Wait, was
it's-
it that season he was having a good season?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was. Oh,
Yeah.
that was when he was in like most improved
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah. But yeah, and then now, because the game that they just lost, I think they were up, and then he played Isaiah. So LaMelo had 30 points going into the fourth quarter, and then he played Isaiah Thomas more minutes than him in the fourth.
Wow. He took King of the Fourth a bit too literally. A bit too literally.
Yeah,
It's not 2017 anymore.
not 2017 anymore.
Yeah.
So they're gonna need a coaching change, I believe.
You think?
Yeah.
And like Hornets were at one point literally 50-50 team.
They were like 50 on the road, 50 at home.
Yeah, literally like the
against-
same record home and away.
50 against the West, 50 against the East.
Yeah.
like,
At least they're
Yeah.
consistent.
yeah.
they're like
Yeah.
mid. They're literally mid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's mid in the sense that they'll be sick and then bad, so it just
Yeah.
balances it out.
So
It's not like it's not like one win, one loss, one
Yeah,
win,
yeah.
one loss. It's like
Yeah.
hot streak, cold streak, hot streak, cold streak kind of thing. I think that's kind of subsequent of like a young team, which they are
for
obviously. I don't know when. Is Gordon Hayward back? I don't think he is.
No, he's not.
No.
I don't know what Gordon Hayward's future lies with in the Hornets.
Well,
Definitely doesn't fit the timeline, but obviously makes them a better team.
Yeah.
But then again, like who would kind of want Gordon Hayward at this point? So, but I feel like obviously Miles Bridges has had a fantastic year,
Especially start of the year.
and LaMelo Ball is obviously the face and the future of that franchise. So you have the pieces. It's just you have like a lot of really weird pieces as well, like Isaiah Thomas, Terry Rozier. Just like I don't really know what their end game is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And do you see them like making the playoffs through the play-in?
No, they're playing. They will play Atlanta, so I don't.
They play Atlanta in the first playing game, and then
Yeah.
either Brooklyn or Toronto. Yeah,
I don't think they are. Yeah.
yeah, tough.
Imagine if Nets lose to Toronto and they play Hawks to 4-8 seed. That would be a nice game.
I think Toronto would quite easily win that.
No, I mean Nets against Hawks.
Oh, for the 8th seed.
Yeah, that would be a nice game.
I think Nets would also quite easily win that.
Yeah, I know.
Right, my surprising.
Yeah, the Hawks can only beat the Knicks.
Yeah. My surprising team / player I've gone with a player. It's Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, finally showing some love to Russell Westbrook on the pod.
I've never wavered.
Huh?
I've never wavered.
I'm not sure about that. I'm sure there's some texts in some group chats that say otherwise. But, yeah. Anyway, Russell Westbrook, for some reason, had all these fans coming up to him and just abusing him, and that's when like there's so much you can criticize Russell Westbrook's basketball ability, right? Because he's on a lot of money, plays for the biggest basketball team in the world, and he's failed to meet his expectations. So there's one thing criticizing him on the basketball court, but when you're running up to him and saying,
Westbrook,
"You're a goof, bud,"
No,
and then running
that's
away.
not even. He's so corny.
No, he ran up to him and was like,
"You're my favorite player,
Yeah.
man. Like, oh, you're so cool. I just want you to play better." And then we're like 50 feet away.
"You're a goof, bud."
man.
That was the most Canadian thing I've ever heard in my life. "You're a goof, bud." But yeah, and then it was just poetry that night. Russell Westbrook hits the 3 to send it to overtime, and obviously the Lakers end up beating the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, they beat them.
Yep.
And that was also a 20-point triple-double for Russ. And ever since then, he's been kind of more reminiscent. I'm not saying prime Westbrook by any means, but he's been more reminiscent of what he was there to give the Lakers.
Yeah.
He scored 20 plus in his last 4, 8 plus rebounds in his last 4. He's averaging 28 and 7 in his last 5. So, and the Lakers have actually picked up a few wins here. I'm not saying by any means they're back on track, but Westbrook is kind of, he always has these periods of the season where he kind of picks it up. But I didn't think it was even going to come this season with how poorly he was playing. But
Yeah.
it's good to see him back to playing good basketball, and he's even shooting well from free. He's shooting 44% from free in that time frame. So
yeah, and the Lakers need him to play well.
Yeah, the Lakers need him,
especially
of
now
course.
doing, because Pelicans are half game back, and Spurs are 2 games back from Lakers.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
they're
they
gonna
need
to make a
wins.
run, and they have the most difficult remaining schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
do we still think Westbrook is definitely out of LA in the off season? Because I was thinking about it, right? All parties want that for him to
Yeah.
leave, but how do you make it happen?
Yeah.
I don't see how you can make it happen. Because you can't buy out his contract because it's so much money.
it's 44 million.
No one's gonna trade for him. It's
44
tough,
for one
man.
season.
It's tough, man. They might just have to persevere with that, I think, and just see if
Do you think Anthony Davis is gonna leave first before?
for Westbrook.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna give it one more go.
Yeah.
See if
I-
AD can get back to
At
where
this
he was in the
point,
bubble.
with the way they're going now, I think they're just going to end up just trying to retool some stuff, because even though it's hard to do, you don't want to get rid of him just for the sake of getting rid of him and
Yeah.
just leave yourself in a terrible situation as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the value just isn't there to do it. Yeah, I think he probably
stays.
it's probably like 60-40 in terms of him staying.
I think the move the Lakers desperately need to make is getting Vogel out there.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
That is
True.
that is
Yes.
the move.
Oh my goodness.
That is the move that is needed, like
Yeah.
exponentially. Like he needs to go. I think it would be a case where it would just give players the lift for at least I don't know, for at least the last bit in the season. And also he's a terrorist to the game of basketball. So
It's a oh man.
but that's the first move they need to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Who's your surprise?
My surprising player of the week is Grant Batman Williams.
Shock. Celtics player shock.
Yeah, I know. Because, Grant Williams, I don't know why he called himself Batman and wanted everyone to call him Batman after the game against Sacramento. Well, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they said, Grant is alright. We'll call him still Grant. But then next, I don't know what happened then. Everyone was surprised. Then against Denver, he had a decent game, 13 points, 6 rebounds, and then he had block on Joker. That's what Batman do. So and then later on when
What's going on right now?
I don't know, it's just Grant Williams being Batman.
What is this segment, man?
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Wait, let me finish.
Title episode. Grant Williams is the Batman.
Yeah, and then the game against OKC. Yeah, it's OKC. Shush.
This is a shameless segment, man.
Yes, I know. Shush.
Oh my god.
So is it surprising because he has
I
the
want to talk
nickname?
about Celtics, but I don't want
Yeah,
this
keep
too
going.
much.
Keep going.
It's it's surprising because he has the nickname Batman. Is that
No,
what-
it's surprising because like
Because he had 13 points.
No,
4
he
rebounds.
actually had, and then later against
Yeah,
OKC,
go ahead.
we played without Smart and Rob Williams. He started against Rob Williams,
Right.
and he finished with career high 20 points, 10 rebounds. Actually had a decent game, and everyone was surprised. And so yeah, Batman.
What happened in the last game though? How many points? How many points in the last game?
12 minutes, 4 points. That's what Batman do. That's what Batman do.
What?
So he put a career high against a team that's trying their hardest to
Yeah.
lose.
Yeah. So
And
And again, we played Utah. He barely played. So.
if Batman put up 4 points against Utah Jazz, Gotham would be finished. Gotham would be finished.
Yeah, with Grant Williams. Yeah.
I mean,
Now the thing is, like, I would
I'm
say,
surprised though.
I would say that with Grant Williams, I can say like his whole season he's been solid. Like compared to last season, like he's been solid. Like everyone wanted him out. Like all Celtics fans wanted like Grant Williams. Like if we're trading per player, Grant Williams will be gonna be the first like player to get in the package and move.
No,
But he's been solid.
he's become a solid role player.
Yes, exactly.
Fair play.
So, yeah. Batman.
Stop
that's
the
a big
press.
one.
Grant Williams scored 20 points against OKC.
Yes, Batman. I surprised, shocked, completely
Wow.
shell-shocked.
On that note,
Oh no, that.
move on swiftly.
No.
Swiftly.
I told you I was hungry, man. You sit through 2 minutes of that. All right, but I mean, speaking of scoring outbursts, let's speaking of in honor
Put some
of
respect on Grant Williams.
in honor of Batman's scoring outbursts, we're going to talk about the scoring title race. It's very, very close. From any day,
Historically
it's
close.
flipping between LeBron, Giannis, and Joel Embiid. At one point, it was within like what
0.1 or
0.1?
something?
Yeah.
0.2.
I think point
Yeah.
two.
I think it was 0.2. I think
Yeah.
Giannis and Embiid were on 29.98 or something, and then LeBron was on 30.
It was like no, even before that, they were all on 29.8. But it was like 29.83, 29.85.
Anyway, it was close as
They were very, very
fuck.
close. If we're going that far in, like, it's very,
Like,
very close.
If Giannis had made one more dunk, he would have been leading the race. Is how close it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, and you know, the players doing it. We've got a 37-year-old LeBron James who 16 years ago averaged his career high of 31 points per game. 16 years on, is still averaging 30. I mean, when you talk about greatness, you can't look any further than that.
Yep.
I don't know if you've
The
seen
next
like,
leading scorer in their 19th season is Kobe at 17.
yeah, and then the next leading scorer at 37 is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with 14. So that just tells you everything about LeBron's longevity, and I think LeBron's longevity is probably his biggest case towards
Yeah,
the GOAT
that's
status for
Yeah.
100%. And then obviously Embiid and Giannis, who just make it look ridiculously easy every night.
But Giannis clearly does not care because he took like 12 shots against the Bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does not. He doesn't care
and
about
he,
his scoring.
and he also only plays like 25 minutes a night. So.
Yeah.
Like if I can only imagine the amount of numbers Giannis would be putting up if he played 35 to 40 minutes a night. But yeah, man, this race is crazy. Who do we think is gonna end up winning it?
I think it depends on schedules, like who's playing it. Like as you said,
But I don't think so. I feel like LeBron
think
could drop,
LeBron- I think
LeBron could drop
LeBron
40 on anyone.
I think LeBron will because
I think they need his points
Yeah,
the
like,
most.
yeah, that's the thing.
they
yeah,
need his
probably.
points, and he will play every game left of the season.
Yeah.
Uh,
To be fair, like Bucks and Sixers, they need that as well. Like it's very close in the East.
but they don't need Giannis to play 40 minutes every game though.
To be fair, he plays like as Jack said, 25
Exactly.
games. So.
Whereas LeBron, even when they don't need LeBron to play 40 minutes
Yeah.
in a blowout, he's gonna get back out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think LeBron, and it would be the highlight of LeBron's season.
Yeah,
So,
that would be mental.
yeah. So that's the only historical thing that LeBron really has a chance of doing this season because obviously he just passed. We won't say his name on this podcast, but
Yeah.
he just passed him.
That man.
That man. But yeah.
Closest scoring title race since 1977-78. where the scoring title was decided by 0.07 points.
So man,
Wow.
George Gervin and David Thompson.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So-
close.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
But we might get one of them historic. Because I remember it was Shaq. He had a game where I think he was tied with David Robinson, and his game finished, and he was at that point he was leading, and then David Robinson went for like 70 points and won the title. So we might get that type of finish.
Yeah.
Or on the other side, we might get a player that he finishes at a certain point 2 games before the end of the season.
Yeah.
And where he's at, the other players will need like 60 points to pass him.
Maybe even
and then they'll sit out. the last
Maybe
game.
even crazier than that David Robinson story. I've just read here, Thompson played his final game and scored 73 points. George Gervin needed 59 to beat him, and he scored 63.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's mental.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
But this is the type of like all-time race we're seeing, and it probably will come down to the final day.
Yeah.
But do you think all 3 players care about scoring title?
I hope the NBA media like stirs it up a little bit
LeBron
more.
definitely cares.
LeBron
about
definitely
scoring
cares,
that.
yeah.
I mean, wasn't it like that? I remember the NBA was advertising the hell out of that Sixers Lakers game last night.
Yeah, last
for
night.
LeBron not even to
He
play.
didn't even play in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's points per game, so
Yeah,
you
like
might get players preserving theirs by not playing certain game
Yeah.
as well. But Giannis definitely doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Yeah.
about it. Even MVP, he was asked about MVP, and he said, he clearly didn't care. He was like, yeah, the other players are playing pretty well. Like, cool.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
he won
He
one,
wants
so
a chip.
now,
He wants
yeah,
another chip.
He doesn't. He wants
He's had
another
another
chip.
championship. He's had enough 60, 70
Game-
win
yeah.
seasons, and
Yeah.
So, and then with Embiid, I think he'll go for it because it will strengthen his MVP case.
I feel like it's most important for LeBron though,
Yeah.
because it'll kind of gloss over what has been. If we're looking back at all the seasons he's been in LA, it's a roller coaster, but most of it is
Yeah.
down there.
At the end of
So
the
it'll
day,
kind of gloss over that. I think.
no one will remember this like them missing the playoffs or them
Yeah.
whatever, but they'll remember
the scoring title.
scoring title at age 37.
37, yeah, exactly.
So
And even if he doesn't win the scoring title and still averages 29 points, people are still going to remember that. So
yeah.
I think it's most important for LeBron, I would say.
All right. But let's move on.
Do you want to start it?
Is it my cue to lead?
Okay, let's put this in context. All right. So the word fraud, yeah. The word fraud is very subjective. It's a very subjective word. There's no real. It's unfortunate because going into the season, I think everyone would have called it a success if the Chicago Bulls were to, yeah, that's who we're talking about, by the way. If the Chicago Bulls, I mean, what you said, first round.
Yeah, you were happy with the first
I said
round.
make the playoffs. So yeah, get into the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
That
But
would've been perfect.
Then what? Second round?
see, that's the problem. We get
Bamboozled,
Get a bit of-
hoodwinked, led astray.
Carried
the
away.
fraud, flat out deceived. That's the thing. It gets a bit. You get that excitement as a fan. You stop being objective. You get ahead of
Yeah.
yourself. First seed. Oh, we're clicking on all cylinders. We went undefeated in the preseason. Oh, like it starts to get you riled up, and then you start being a bit reckless. Then you start having, MVP. We might have the MVP. We might have the Coach of the Year, championship. I mean,
I don't
and then-
think it went that far though.
I don't think it went that far.
Yeah,
like,
but yeah,
so
contenders.
You guys are acting like on most of these points you didn't agree with me.
I don't think I did.
You didn't say it at that time.
Um,
And I look, even at our peak, I never said we could win the title. Fact,
That's
I
true.
never said that.
you
I
never said
said
could. When we were talking about like how there was several contenders that have a possibility of winning a
Yeah.
championship. Even I s-
but realistically, I knew the Bulls were not winning the title.
Yeah.
Because I still knew what our deficiencies were. They were just masked up, right?
Yep.
And I like to
I
call
thought
it.
all of your deficiencies were down to injuries, weren't they?
I like to call it a honeymoon period. Right?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So you get a girl, yeah. Those first 6 months,
I wouldn't know, man.
I wouldn't know much either, but from what I've heard,
I would know.
those first 6 months,
Yeah.
bliss. Loving each other. You're talking about marriage, kids, whatever.
The first 6 months.
First 6 months.
I wouldn't
that
go
honeymoon
there, man.
period.
I hope she's not watching, but I've had the first. I wasn't quite there, but
Alright, anyway. you have a period in any relationship where it's like sunshines, roses, rainbows, and then one day you look at
12th man gets injured.
one day you roll over in your bed, you see her without makeup, so you roll back over.
What, 6 months in?
No, but
You
can,
definitely don't have the
Kinda
experience.
weird,
man.
kinda weird.
no, but you can disguise the beauty because it was going so well. But then one day something goes wrong, or you have an argument.
Okay, we'll take it.
You have an
Yeah,
argument.
you have an argument, yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes. And I like to call our argument losing Alex Crusoe, Lonzo Ball,
Injuries.
and injuries, basically.
Right.
But
Whoa.
obviously, like the thing we all pointed to, right, as the
Chemistry.
Bulls' main success was their chemistry.
Chemistry.
Yeah. And we were quite healthy for. I think we started the season 7-0. Obviously,
Yeah.
had a full roster. Chemistry was looking great. Started the season amazing. Then when pieces started coming out of the lineup, chemistry's tested, right? And that's a true test of a great team and a contender is if you can stay afloat without your injuries. Because it's unrealistic to think that you're gonna be totally uninjured, right? It's unrealistic to think that you're gonna have that same
82 game season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very unrealistic to think that. And we've been able to see that Nikola Jokic has been able to keep the Denver Nuggets afloat with all of his players because he's a great player and they play a system that fits his game. I don't think Coach Donovan had a system to accommodate for the injuries. And that's why I'm not putting it all on Coach Donovan, of course, but the ISO ball offense, where it's just Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan taking turns, has really been exposed since the All-Star break. And you can see that in an 0-16 record against the top 3 teams in both conferences. When you play a good defense and they know how to accommodate for ISO ball,
By the way,
we're finished.
sorry. I'll
Take a sip of water if you need.
the Pistons have both beaten
Yep.
2 of the teams in that. But there's tanking teams that have accidentally, like, they were distraught in the locker room after beating these contenders. Like, the management, the GMs were like, we've just lost 2% in the draft odds because they just beat contenders. But the Bulls, not even by accident, can't even slip into it.
But that's where I think it must be deeper than the team's ability. It must be a mental thing at this point.
Yeah,
It has to be a mental thing.
2-18 against top 8 teams, not even contenders, top 8 teams.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just, and our defense is just tragic at the moment. Like, one pick and roll and the whole defense goes in disarray. Honestly, watch any Bulls game. One pick and roll.
You.
Yeah.
One pick and roll.
I have better team.
Oh my God, it's actually just tragic. Like, Nikola Vucevic could not defend a pick and roll to save his life, man.
Well,
I know I get on
talked
this guy
about
heavy.
Vucevic.
I know I get on this guy heavy, and I'm not even going to mention him. But like, our defense is just pathetic at the moment. Even when we're getting our guys back, like Alex Caruso. I famously tweeted. Not famously because it got like 2 likes. But you two have seen it where I tweeted,
Oh,
the Bulls look locked in on defense tonight. And then as soon as Alex Caruso comes out the game, we go down like 25 or something. So I just went to bed. I've been doing that a lot recently. I watched the first quarter and I just go to bed because I can't be bothered. Yeah, the honeymoon period is definitely over. And I just think right now the Bulls are at a place where probably they are talent-wise. Like, I think I and a lot of Bulls fans and a lot of NBA media and a lot of NBA fans got tricked into thinking the Bulls were better than they were.
Yeah, it's got to readjust the standards.
Yeah, and I think I've seen a bit. I've seen a bit.
First season together.
Yeah, of course.
But
it's another thing when you're getting gassed up so much in the media,
Yeah.
and I'm gassing the team up myself. I've got to take the L.
Yeah.
And I'll take it with both hands. I have to take this L. I'll take it on the chest, and we'll move on.
Take it on the chest of both hands.
But
Go ahead, man.
But from a subjective standpoint, if we're looking at improvement, first winning season in God knows how many, like since 15, 16.
Yeah.
First time we'll play a game past game 82 since 2017. So obviously, it's for Bulls fans, there is improvement.
Yeah.
And that's as much as I can say.
You should be happy with that.
And one thing I like when he's like just talking about Vucevic and last when he got traded to the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, we seem to always
Jack
arrive
was.
here, man.
You guys,
I will like when he.
you guys act like you have to be objective. And I was emotional. I let the emotions get the better of me. And you fans are allowed to have emotional takes.
Fair enough.
We were on paper. We were
Listen,
getting a 25 and 12 center.
In this room, we are not fans, okay? We
Yes.
are objective.
Yes.
No, we're fans. What do
But
you
yeah.
mean we're not fans? You just brought up Grant. You spoke about
respect.
Grant Williams for 10 minutes.
Okay, sure.
You spoke about Grant Williams for 10 minutes, man.
Oh, man.
Look, I'm not gonna even say it, but Lonzo Ball needs to come back, man. Lonzo,
When he's coming back?
I don't. It's not great news. So he was supposed to come back at the end of March, but apparently they've been putting him through some testing and he hasn't responded well. So
Yeah, they've gone back on, but they don't want him to run it.
Yeah.
Do they?
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's not looking good.
Yeah.
This is a really good foundation.
I just wish Coach Donovan would have a system.
Man,
it
it's
just
almost
doesn't look like he has a system.
Hey man, what was I saying when you got him?
Yeah.
No.
But it's different now. He's got better
No, 'cause
talent.
it felt like
he's
at
got
the-
better talent. So
At the start of the season, he had a system. It felt like that. Like, definitely defensively, like the way we were trapping people and double teaming, it was really good. And we were playing really aggressive defense. Sorry, I just needed something. And just ever since the injuries, he hasn't been able to adapt, man. So, but
That's what he does to you, man. That's what Donovan does to you, man. At the right time.
And look, we're looking quite. Actually, I'm not even going to jinx it. I was going to say we're looking quite comfy in that 5th seed, but Raptors and Cavs are right there, so we
So
could.
that you projected to finish 46 and 36.
So 4 and 6 losses currently. But yeah, we've got a mixed schedule coming up.
Alright.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, let's.
Just know if we beat the Celtics in a few days, I won't show up about it.
Yeah, I know. But do I care now?
Yeah, to be fair, you lot have bigger goals and aspirations than beating the
I'm
Bulls.
trying to keep quiet about Celtics. Like,
I would just. What do you mean
You're
I'm trying to keep
so hard.
quiet?
No.
What the songs that you bring up Grant
Grant
Williams.
Yeah, I know. But
explosion.
I mean about the whole team and how far they can go. I don't want to
Right.
But-
No, I get you, man.
Yeah, man, the Bulls are frauds. I'm saying it officially.
They're not frauds. Man. This is where they should be.
Yeah.
This is where they should
To be
be.
fair, before the season, you said like, oh,
To be
like
fair,
5th seed out.
When I say this is where they should be, 0-16 is unacceptable and not where they should be. But in terms of
Yeah.
seeding,
Oh, yeah.
this
yeah,
is where they should be.
like you said before season, 5th, probably like 5th,
Yeah.
6th, something like that.
So yeah, I'm a realistic fan.
But yeah, the 0-16, the 2 and 18.
That's mental.
Yeah, that's
That's very bad.
That's horrendous, man. That's horrendous. But okay,
that felt quite therapeutic, man. I actually appreciate you guys letting me
Good.
do that.
right.
Got weight off my chest.
Yeah, but yeah, we're talking about injury-plagued teams, but let's talk about the injured stars right now in the league. So we've had a few announcements over the last week. Zion ruled out for the season. Dame ruled out for the season. Murray.
Should be back.
No, Murray. He was initially supposed to be coming back, but
End of
they've
March.
slowed down. They've slowed down that down now, so they're not quite sure if they're actually going to get him in time. And then Ben Simmons with the herniated disc. So let's talk about the implications of those. So one by one. So with Zion, obviously the
Guys
Pelicans.
doing windmills, empty gyms.
The day after the announcement, he's doing windmills and like.
So he was bending the floor as well. Yeah. Everyone was getting on him for that. But
yeah, that's.
in terms
It's
of
smart. It's smart. It's
What?
smart to do. To not bring him. To not rush him back.
yeah.
There's no reason.
because his long term health is way more important
Oh, yeah.
than the Pelicans trying to get into the.
Play
To the play-in.
so-
yeah.
That's smart. They just got to make sure they're strict with him and then make sure they keep him healthy and keep him on a good regimen so that he comes back fully firing next
If he's
year.
100% going into training camp next year, that should be the goal.
Pelicans. I think if he's 100% healthy next year, Pelicans are probably a playoff lock.
Yeah.
And it will be his first preseason, like fully healthy preseason. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dame, now he's been officially ruled out for
I
the
think
season.
that's a blessing for the Sixers.
For Blazers.
Sorry, not for Sixers, Blazers. My bad.
Yeah.
I think that's a blessing for the Blazers because they were with Simons out as well. They're just tanking now. So.
Yeah.
But I don't trust them because have you seen?
Do they have their pick?
Yeah.
They
Okay.
should have them.
But their whole retool project, apparently, I've seen a few scared Blazers fans, like terrified Blazers fans, because there's rumors of them being linked to Jeremy Grant
I did see
by a
I saw the
trade.
pictures.
And then the two players, was it Nurkic
Hart.
and Hart, posted with him,
Oh.
and there's rumors they're considering trading their own pick for
From this
Jeremy
year?
Grant.
Nah, that's stupid.
Oh my! They don't know what to do.
Yeah,
man.
they need.
I feel like
At this point, Dame demanding a trade would like save their franchise.
no, but this situation kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of the Warriors when they tanked when Steph Curry was out and they got a good pick. Although obviously they had the pieces coming back, it's like if you can get a talented, like I don't know where
but
their pick is going to land.
the Warriors was
but-
like a break from being a dynasty and a contender
Yeah.
to then being like trash for 1 year and then back to being a contender.
But at least if you tank this year, get a good pick or trade it. Obviously you don't want to trade that for Jeremy Grant, but if you can get something better than that or a talented young player, it either sets you up in a good position to move from Dame, which we don't know how they're going to do that. Obviously it's not the easiest trade in the
Well,
world.
then just use the pick.
No, but I'm saying I think they'll use the pick. But if it's a player that can come in and like complement Dame and make the Blazers more talented, they have
Yeah, but
a
what?
goal. They have a goal for the future when Dame does move on, but they can still be kind of competitive in the now. I think.
Yeah, but that's because teams like that can't pick a direction. Like that's not good.
But what I'm saying is they have a direction once Dame moves on. If they pick a good draft prospect.
But that means you're not going. Yeah, I guess. But I'm talking about I'm talking about them if they were to use it for Grant or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea
horrendous
because Grant doesn't shift the needle enough for you to become a contender. So
all.
it's
Yeah.
like there's no real point.
But even
You
I
might
feel
as well
like
take
they
a bet on a draft prospect.
It's just delaying the inevitable because who can they acquire in free agency that is gonna move the needle?
I don't have the answers.
Like, firstly,
Okay,
this
yeah.
free agency isn't really that elite anyway, and then the Blazers have never been a destination. So
Yeah.
yeah, but okay, all right, Murray. So obviously,
It's a weird one.
Jokic he's keeping them afloat.
Back's
Yeah.
hurting.
Like they need help, but like do you want to bring him into playoffs?
Yeah.
That's the like thing.
Especially bringing a guard in as well. Bringing
Yeah.
two big players that are going to take up a lot of usage in at that point of the season. It's
But would you not rather risk that than waste what could be a good season? Like, could be a good regular season.
I think
Because as
they.
much as they could throw off team balance, whatever, they
Well, I
could
think
also.
just like-
Yeah. I think they've surpassed the point where they can make that switch and it can like.
I just think Jokic needs as much help as he can get because
Yeah, true.
the Nuggets' second leading scorer is Will Barton on 14.5 points per game. The only team in the NBA that doesn't have two scorers above 15 points per game is the Nuggets, and they're still in the 6th seed. Obviously, that speaks a lot to Jokic's brilliance,
Yeah.
but in the playoffs, it's going to be a completely different game, and that is not sustainable.
But yeah, you'd be bringing them back as decoys though, like Harden and.
Yeah, but even still, I think that
Yeah.
still helps you.
It helps you.
It will help a lot.
Yeah.
Especially.
But does it help
for
you
Jokic.
if you bring back two? So, Michael Porter Jr., injury-prone player. If you set him back even worse, and it's like that's dangerous.
No, I
And then
think
you're bringing
should-
in a player off an ACL injury. Like look at Clay, look at players like that have come off that. Normally, there's a subsequent injury after
Yeah.
that if you rush them back too quickly. So,
I think.
Is it
I don't
worth
think
that?
they're rushing them back.
I think
but
first
Murray got
Go on.
injured in the playoffs last season, didn't he?
yeah, against the no.
Was it last season?
It's been less than a year.
I've always been more than a year. Anyway.
Because he
I
played.
think it was before playoffs.
Was it?
Oh, was it like? I think it was against. I remember. I think he got injured against the Warriors, and I think it was just leading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I
Right,
think it
right.
was before
Um,
playoffs.
So like a year.
Yeah.
But what I think, look, first and foremost, you have to prioritize the player's health.
Yes.
So obviously that's a decision that the physio is going to have to make. But if there is any way you can guarantee their health and get them back, you have to do it, I think.
Yeah.
But obviously that's a perfect scenario for the
Yeah.
Nuggets.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's not going to go like that way because
Yeah.
I think both Porter and Murray were supposed to be back now. Especially Porter, I think.
Yeah,
was
they-
I
supposed
think end of
They got
March.
assigned to the G League. Yeah, there was a report that Jamal Murray is not close to returning.
wow.
Oh yeah. So.
And 2 weeks ago it said 50-50. Now it's saying not close. So that doesn't look like.
No, I don't.
Yeah, that
they
doesn't
probably
look
weren't
like
getting back then.
Yeah, that doesn't look likely. And then in Michael Porter Jr.'s case, I'm not sure, but he's an injury-prone player. That's why he fell in the draft.
Yeah.
So that's
That back is.
you can't really mess around with a back. And then
No.
speaking of that, Ben Simmons, herniated disc. He's had back issues in the past. That is very scary for a team in the Brooklyn Nets that
Gave up
acquired
James
him.
Harden.
Yeah, they gave up James Harden and they acquired him as a long-term asset.
And he was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to right all their wrongs in the defensive end. So he was seen as kind of the ceiling raiser for the Nets.
Yeah.
And to not have him will be tough. I don't think he'll be back this year.
Yeah,
I'll
because the
put
prospect
quite a
of
lot of money
bringing,
on that.
especially when he has mental issues, and like he has those demons with the playoffs and with just playing in general, bringing him back off an injury of that magnitude and having not played for a full year, like that's
And that's a huge loss.
And
for
into
the
a new
Nets.
team where he's not comfortable with the system yet as well.
yeah.
And they're putting a lot of responsibility. It sounds like they're going to put a lot of
yeah.
responsibility on his shoulders
Yeah.
to be the defensive anchor. And obviously in Philly, he was still the defensive anchor, but he had Joel Embiid alongside him to shoulder that load.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn, he kind of feels like he's alone in
On
that
his own,
sense.
yeah.
So
That's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot for him, 100%. So I think, and you know, I could easily see them running it back and being, if everyone's healthy and no more COVID restrictions, I could easily see the Nets running it back and being the 1 seed next year, or being like right up there if
Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah,
healthy.
yeah.
So I don't think their window is closed. So I don't think they have to do it this year.
I'd rather bring Ben Simmons into a training camp, bring him into give him a chance to get healthy, then spend the whole summer work on his game, whatever, and then bringing him in that because bringing players back in the playoffs is difficult. Like that's a tough thing to do. Like not every player is Kevin Durant or like that type of player to where they can adjust that quickly. But
Yeah.
it's definitely. But a lot of these situations are very difficult to make.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it is frustrating for us as NBA fans that a lot of teams that could be contenders probably won't because of injuries.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
that's just the way the NBA's always been, really. So
This is sports.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But with that, we have concluded this episode of the Full Court Talk podcast. Thanks for listening if you got to this point, and we're out.
Peace.